Sitting opposite me, a gentleman who you would recognise at first sight, I have to say, and it's a real great pleasure to have in the studio Robyn Ellis, otherwise known as, it was Ross Poldark, wasn't it?
Ross
Captain.
Poldark, yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir, and welcome to the programme. Lovely to have you with us.
Lovely to be here.
You've got this marvellous book out, and I want to talk first of all about why you've written a book for diabetics, essentially.
It's a cookbook. It's called Delicious Dishes for Diabetics. And I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 12 years ago, and I like to cook. I've always cooked. I do the cooking in the family, and Meredith, my wife, eats what I cook. And over the years, I've collected many recipes, like my mum used to. She was a type 1. And after a while, I realized, really, that I was eating more or less as a normal person would, maybe just giving up a few things, and that I had a lot of recipes, and the idea came that maybe we could compile a cookbook and see if anybody was interested.
So what do you think is the difference between somebody in Cornwall who's diabetic and cooking and somebody who's in France, as you are, and diabetic? Is there a difference in... No, but is there a difference in what is available or what we actually cook?
I wouldn't think so, no. I mean, I think these days the farmer's market idea is around in Cornwall and available. I hope it's not too expensive. But anyway, if you go to supermarkets, you have a great choice these days, and you can find wonderful food, I think, to cook. It's just finding the recipes to accompany them.
I'm not diabetic, and no one in the family is.
Very glad to hear it.
Very lucky, I think, he said, touching a little bit of wood. What would we not be able to use?
Well, what I gave up is refined carbohydrates, things like white rice, white pasta, white flour-based things, white bread, for instance, and potatoes. But I substituted sweet potatoes, which are delicious. It's things that convert quickly to sugar.
Sugars, yeah.
And the condition doesn't allow the body to put the sugar in the right place as energy. And so the sugar gets into the bloodstream and gets into places that it shouldn't. So basically that's all I've given up, really. And I eat extremely well in France. But in Cornwall, you can eat very well. I think people eat here very well. I've just eaten lunch, and it was delicious.
Do you think people are frightened trying to ensure that the person in the family who is diabetic gets the same quality of food as the rest of the people? Do you think we're...
Well, they may be frightened. They may be not sure what they should be cooking for the person who has diabetes. And I think that is an important factor, that people need to learn about diabetes. Although it's a huge problem, a lot of people just don't know what it is. Also, a lot of people don't know that they have it. There are, I think, 800,000 undiagnosed diabetics in the UK, which, when you think about it, is a huge number. The problem with it is that it doesn't manifest itself very early. You don't know that you have the condition. It can be genetic, or it can be as a result of being overweight, and of course that makes it a very prevalent Western condition.
He said, touching my own tummy. Don't say that. He said, sitting up just a bit straighter so that I didn't quite look.
Well, that's fair enough. Yeah.
So type 1 diabetes was what your mum had?
Yes.
And that's a lifelong...
Both are lifelong. Both are incurable. But my mother's family was in my mother's family. And type 1 diabetics don't produce any insulin. That's the hormone that can deal with the sugar intake. Type 2 tends to be a late onset condition, and it has impaired insulin use, so that the body is not using the insulin that it does produce in as efficient a way as normal people's bodies can.
And how and when did you discover that you were diabetic?
Well, I discovered by chance. A friend of mine rang me and said that they had something and I should go and have a blood test. They had prostate cancer, and that I should have a blood test because I was more or less the same age. And I went for a blood test, and my prostate was all right, but they discovered that my blood sugar was at a level that was slightly worrying for them. And they tested me again in 6 months, and it had risen. So my French doctor said, you have the condition and we have to take it seriously. So I was lucky in a way, because people don't go for blood tests.
What effect had it had on you, because it creeps upon you, literally?
It does. It had no effect on me. I mean, because I lived with a mother who had it for 30 years. I didn't live with my mother, but my mother had it for 30 years. So I was very conscious of diabetes in a way that a lot of people maybe are not. But in spite of that, I didn't notice anything. And I think type 2 diabetics don't have the sort of indications that type 1 diabetics can have, with dry throat and thirst and losing weight and indications like that something is wrong. They don't have it, and that's the problem, really. People don't know about it.
It's great that then you end up producing something like the cookbook that you have. But I think the fact that you are well known makes it that much easier to be able to get the message across.
I hope so. I mean, it might just catch somebody's eye, because they might have heard of me a few years ago. On the other hand, they may have thoroughly not have heard of me and forgotten me.
Well, hold on a second. You were talking to my good friend Duncan Warren next door.
Yes.
Who used to appear in Poldark.
He was in it. He was in it. So he was in both series, he tells me. And I think I probably arrested him at one point.
On more than one occasion, I would imagine.
So, yes.
He's a bit of a reprobate, let's be honest.
I think he was a bit of a rabble-rouser in those days, yes. Anyway, I think he told me he had a very good time, so that was
So I've heard as well. And he's getting the repeat fee, so he doesn't care.
He is? Oh, I'm very glad to hear it.
He's the only one. The nice thing is that you are going to be in Truro tomorrow.
Yes.
So we can all go along and say hello.
I'm going to be at Waterstones at 2:30 in the afternoon tomorrow, signing delicious dishes for diabetics, and I'd love to see anybody who comes along.
Robyn Ellis, it's a great pleasure to have you in the studio. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.